Hello, everyone, and welcome to Findmypast from Home. We're so excited to have you with us on a very, very special week. It is Community Week at Findmypast, and we are so excited to do just everything we can to celebrate the community of Findmypast. This has just been an incredible week, and we're really, really happy to be with you today. So today we are going to do a very special event. We've never done this before, and I am thrilled and actually quite honored and touched to have been asked to host two of our amazing and fabulous members of our customer support team. They are tremendous, literally the best in the business, and we're going to have a wonderful discussion today. So I'm going to introduce them, and then we'll get started in our usual check-in with everybody. So let me bring them into the stream. We have Liam and Jamie joining us. Say hello, Liam and Jamie.
Hi, everyone.
Hi there. Nice to meet you.
Thanks so much for being with us. And as quick introduction, maybe if you haven't joined us before, my name is Jen Baldwin. I am the Data Acquisition Manager for North America for Findmypast. And I am based in Colorado. So it's morning my time. It's afternoon for you guys. Tell us where you're located.
So we're both based in Dundee in Scotland. Surprisingly sunny Dundee today.
Excellent with the weather report right on the ball, Liam. That's great. Good. So we've got people chiming in. That's fantastic. Ellie is also with us here in the comments, guys. We know her. We love her. And she has been running basically the whole show, the Community Week. So fabulous work from Ellie this week and more good stuff to come. So everything you've been seeing across our social media channels this week has really been kind of coordinated and run by the fabulous Ellie. So thank you very much for your hard work this week, Ellie. Okay, we've got Sue from, cloudy Guildford in Surrey. I'm sorry, it's cloudy. Linda's here from Newark. Matthew's with us today. Hi, Matthew. Let's see. Daphne's in Somerset. George is in sunny Essex. Marion's in Ireland. Victoria, hi. It's good to see you again. Heather is in Edinburgh, and it's sunny as well. Lynn's in Colorado. Fabulous. So it is 77 degrees today, or it's supposed to be in Colorado at my house, which is Fahrenheit, of course. So that's 25 Celsius. I have my Post-it note with the conversion. So good. All right. Nice and sunny on the other side of Bridge in Fife. Jane is with us. Let's see. Rosie's here. Kevin's here in London. Chris is with us. We've got Sean from a very wet New Zealand. Oh, so many of you chiming in today. Thank you so much for joining us. We love seeing you. Okay. So today we're going to talk about the community and our customer support team. And it sounds like someone has a bird chirping in the background, which is fabulous. Actually, I love that. Is that you?
Yeah, that's me.
That's
sorry.
good.
It's not actually my bird, but we've put a water fountain outside my window. And because it's so sunny, the birds like to sit there.
I love it. It's so good. I would love to have birds outside my window all day while I work. That's so cool. All right. So we are talking to our customer support team today, and we're going to just dive into your experiences because you guys handle like everything under the sun on behalf of the Findmypast team. So can you give us just a quick snapshot? What's it like to work in the customer support team at Findmypast? And I don't know who wants to start, so just jump in.
I don't know, will we do round robin with the questions? You go first this one, I go first next one.
If we can keep track of it, yeah.
Well, do you want to do this one or will I go first?
Yeah, go ahead, Jamie.
Okay, so what it's like starting in the team. We're a very small team, first of all. So we do sort of band together quite well to take on pretty much everything that we need to. And it's not only dealing with live contacts. So we do emails, chats, and calls every day. But we also do other things like joining meetings. We do brainstorms with other teams for future content. And a big thing I like is learning time as well, which is 1 hour a week. We get to choose something that we would like to work on. And it doesn't have to be work related, but it can be personal as well, just to sort of better ourselves in any way.
We'll definitely come back to that because now I want to know what you've learned. So Liam, what about you? What's it like for you to work at customer support?
Yeah, I'd say it is a very rewarding job, regardless of whether it's an account or a subscription query, or you're helping someone knock down a brick wall, like it is just rewarding hearing the satisfaction knowing that you've helped someone on the other side from quite a selfish point of view, perhaps. It is quite rewarding, but it's really good to say. It's so interesting as well, hearing everyone from all over the world, what they're researching, how different everyone's family is, and you never, like Jimmy says, we deal with so much, so you never know what you're going to come into. So it really keeps you on your toes.
That's true. Every day is different, right?
Yeah. Oh yeah. Definitely. Every email, every contact's different.
Yeah, I think one of my favorite expressions actually that I've used for quite a while, and I think you guys probably know this better than anyone, is that family history is intrinsically emotional, right? It touches each of us in a very different, but a very personal way. And you are two of the people that get to deal with those kinds of emotions and those stories on a day-to-day basis. It's got to be difficult at times, but also, incredibly rewarding. Are there moments where you found that that make your role really worthwhile, that really stand out to you? Because both of you have been with us for a number of years now. So, what are the moments that really are highlight for you as emotional moments from our customers?
I think, like I say, we're dealing with it so often, so you do have those brick walls, those breakthroughs, and it is a really kind of personal moment when you've got a customer on the other side of the phone. You've maybe only been speaking to them 10, 15 minutes, and you get to share this amazing moment with them, like their brand new discovery, something they've been looking for so long. It's hard to think of like a specific example, but anytime we're able to help them make that discovery and be there with them when they make it is always special, always really good.
Is that you? Yeah.
Yeah, Jamie, go ahead.
Yeah, so I've sort of went a different approach as well. I didn't pick a single thing, because I feel like even if we just spend 5 minutes doing something for a customer, it's may only be 5 minutes to us, but if it finds something that they've been looking for so long, you can just hear how happy they are in the voice if it's on the phone, or sometimes you do get good feedback via email as well, for example. Rootstack was quite a good example of that. Obviously, it's a bit different than doing our normal job because we were face to face, but you could really see in person the sort of impact that these finds made on people, as opposed to just seeing it in the text. It's not really as emphasized, I guess.
Yeah, I think that's really true. I mean, I've worked plenty of trade shows myself, and the moment that still stands out for me is that very first Rootstack in Salt Lake that I was at the very end of the last day, and I spent like 2 hours with this woman trying to find her ancestors from Ireland. They were like trying to kick us out and everything, and she was crying, and the whole team was standing around me just going, no, we just need a couple more minutes, like to the venue people, like just leave us alone for a couple more minutes, they're almost there. And she kind of had that moment at the end, and it was it's incredible. And I know that situation may be kind of rare, but your comment, Jamie, about 5 minutes, it may just be 5 minutes in your day, but that 5 minutes can make such a difference to someone who's been looking for a record for 30 years, or some extreme example.
Just to point out, it's not as easy as that.
Yeah, no, of course not.
So if you've been looking for something for 30 years, we might not find it in 5 minutes. But on the odd occasion where somebody's really stuck, they might not know, for example, a record set that we have, and we can point them in that right direction.
Yeah, I love that. Let's keep expectations reasonable, right?
Yeah.
But it's really true. Like sometimes it takes, just another set of eyes to say, oh, have you tried this record set or that record set, or something a little bit more unique. Do you either of you have a favorite record set that you like to point people to, or you just have found it intriguing?
I think the service records one's a really good option. A lot of people find it hard to find things like the Chelsea pensioners, but those are all found within the Armed Service records rather than searching for them themselves, and you can just find so many different types of records in there.
So the British Army Service Records, very good set. Ellie, I'm going to ask you to share that one in the comments. She's on it. Thank you. Liam, what about you?
Mine it's not really the most common one that comes across. I do try and shoehorn it into some contacts sometimes, but I really like the Irish dog license registers. I just love them. I think it's just such a kind of unique record set. Like just having that sort of connection with your ancestors, even like seeing that my 3 times great grandfather had a collie, and that's the dog that I've got now. Like just little things like that. So I just think like that's just such a personal little touch. Like it's and it's something different as well. You don't get. Well, I've seen dogs on censuses, but usually get usually floated out by a numerator. But this is like a census for the dogs, so it's perfect for me.
Yeah, I love that one too. It's a good one. A question from the chat. Where'd it go? Sue wanted to know if you guys research your own families.
I've done a little bit of research for mine, yeah. Only back to about, I think, late 1700s at the moment, though. So it's something that I'm slowly chipping away at. I've got some examples of research that I'm planning on doing for later if we go into it. But yeah.
Yeah. Liam, what about you?
Yeah, definitely. I think when I started at Findmypast, it was quite a big thing. Like I was kind of not pushed, gently nudged towards the website to start your own research so you can get a feel for the website. So yeah, I got hooked quite quickly and started doing my own research, like Jamie, about the same time period as Jamie so far, but yeah, still chipping away.
And for anybody who might have missed it, Liam was actually featured in a Scottish newspaper recently with some of his discoveries, if I recall correctly. Ellie, any chance you can share the link to that? Oh, she's going to find it for us. That's great. Yes. That was quite a cool newspaper spread too. So good. So dog license registers, we've got a lot of people coming in and saying, yep, I love the dog license registers and the British Army records as well. So it's kind of cool. And Sue adding, then you see who's in court for not paying the license, which is...
I did see that comment.
Yeah, it takes you into the petty session records, and then you're just on a roll in Ireland, and that's fabulous. We did get a couple of comments before we started this morning, or today. I always want to say this morning, but it's not really morning for anybody else but me. So let me share a couple of those and give these guys a bit of a break. Carol just simply said the Findmypast community always comes up with the answers. And, you know, that's one of the things I think that we all really appreciate about the community that's been built at Findmypast, right? Whether it's on the forum or the Findmypast Facebook page or one of our other social media channels, it is such a helpful environment, right? And that, in that extent, I think we're very lucky. There's a lot of other Facebook groups, for example, that maybe aren't quite so friendly and helpful. So, Carol, thank you for chiming in on that. Elizabeth added that Findmypast has come up with records I haven't found elsewhere and has enabled me to, amongst other things, track down 3 single brothers who immigrated to Australia in the 1800s. I definitely want to know the story about that, Elizabeth. I would love to see that kind of research come together. I always love reading people's research. So thank you for that. Daphne, the Findmypast community is important because you feel inclusive and know you're not alone in your quest for answers. And I think that's actually really important part. Right? Genealogy is actually quite isolating under normal circumstances, but over the past 18 months has been, I mean, we've all been really isolated, and this outlet we have through family history, kind of this shared connection, has allowed us to find people in the community that are like-minded and kind of interested in the same things. So I'm wondering if you guys, and this is a surprise question that I just thought of, so no notes on this one, no prep. Has there been anything in the last 18 months during COVID and lockdowns and everything that's been happening in the world that has stood out to you as different or new or unusual from what it was like pre-COVID and the before times?
We've definitely got busier.
Yeah.
Because people were stuck inside, they weren't able to do anything, so they went to family history, which is a great thing.
Yeah.
I think that would be the biggest sort of change over COVID, to be honest. I don't know if you can think of anything else off the top of your head, then.
Yeah, I think, like you say, I think the time that people have in their hands has been the big change. Like people who maybe thought genealogy was a time-consuming hobby and they don't have the time for it because obviously there's other things, you're out and about in the world. So being stuck inside, it has been something that a lot of people have picked up. So I think, yeah, having the time has been a big change.
And working from home is a big one, I would say, for both of you.
Yeah, definitely. We've been working from home for since March last year now. So I've not
Yeah.
seen Jamie in person for over a year now, so I think little things like that are obviously hard as well. But we stay well connected. We're on various instant messages and meetings throughout the day and stuff like that.
Yeah, we have 3 catch-ups a week, so we're always sort of in the loop within our team anyway.
Yeah, that's good. So one other comment, and this one from William, always with us and a big fan. So thank you, William. It's a great bunch of people who share a passion for something we all love. Everyone's great at helping everyone as and when needed. And he also said it's the ideal spot to get a detailed Friday weather forecast, which just totally made me laugh. So thanks for that.
It's the content we all come for.
That's right. That's right. What we all need. Yeah. Okay. So in your roles in customer support, what's the thing on the Findmypast site? What's the feature or the tool on Findmypast that you wish more customers knew about?
So it's in the blog post as well. So if you have read the blog post, apologies for the spoilers. But my favorite feature is the all record sets page. I think that's just so helpful for any searches. Like if I'm searching like a census, for example, if I'm looking for an entry in the 1901 census, I will exclusively use the all record sets page to search just that census. And it also kind of unlocks different things as well that you might not have seen before. Like if you go onto a parish collection from the all record sets, you'll have a link to the parish list. So it shows what parishes we have, the years that are covered, which is always really helpful. We do get quite a lot of people asking, is this church covered? Is this parish covered? So I find that really helpful as well for quick lookups, or so you know if what you're looking for is in existence.
For me, it used to be a little bit more hidden, but it's the census address search, which we've now brought to the forefront of the website. So you can find it just by clicking search rather than having to go through the all records that Liam was mentioning there. But another big one that I want to mention is the Browse Series button, which is just a little blue button next to most fields on the advanced searches. And to go back to my Army Service Records example, when you click Browse Series, you can type in the Home Office number straight from the National Archives, and that just takes you directly to it rather than having to sort of muddle your way through everything. Yeah, that's pretty much what I've got written down for my favorite one. I know.
Yeah, that's a good one, and it's important to look at all those site features. And I've said a couple times in this forum and elsewhere that the site is really designed to put the customer in the driver's seat and allow them to control the research. So all those little features that you're talking about are really, they're there to make the experience better and give the user the most control possible. So yeah, all those little things that you can click on them and play around with the site and see what else it will do, because there are special search fields, for example, in the British military collection that you are not going to find on the basic search or the general search. So take advantage of those tools. They're pretty awesome. So a couple other comments from our viewers today. Sarah says, is anyone else getting excited about the 1921 census, or is it just me? Oh no, Sarah, we're very excited. Any thoughts about 1921, guys, from your perspective in customer support?
I'm looking forward to seeing it myself, to be honest, because
yeah, me too.
Obviously relatives that I will have actually met in real life will have been in there, whereas beforehand it's mostly ancestors who passed away before I'd known them. So it'll give me an even bigger insight into family members that I didn't know too much about beforehand.
Yeah, much the same. I've got a few people on my tree patiently waiting for the 1921 census, so I can kind of steal a few brick walls and just get a little bit further information. But yeah, it's obviously massive for Findmypast, but just a big thing in family history as well to be able to have that record set.
Yeah, I would say I'm impatiently waiting, not patiently at all. I'm really excited to see the potential for research for things like the British home children that were sent to Canada and Australia, for example, and finally being able to connect those dots in that kind of more modern context. I think it's going to be a fabulous set for researchers across the board. historians, academics, genealogists alike. It's going to be amazing. So yeah, Sarah, we're all really, really excited about the 1921 census. You don't even have to ask. Victoria wanted to know, what is the furthest back you have been able to go date-wise with someone's tree, with a customer's tree? Do you either of you recall a particularly long lineage?
Well, you have some customers who go back to names that don't even make sense. But they're all like, is it barons and duchesses and stuff? But I think, like, personally, that I've worked with, I think the early 1600s is probably the most that they've actually had at least one document on the people that they've got within there, rather than just sort of hearsay.
Yeah.
I think Victoria did another question as well in the chat, but it was more referring to duplicates on trees.
Yep, we'll pull that one up in just a second. Liam, what about you? Anything else from a lineage perspective?
Yeah, like Jamie says, sometimes you go in a family tree for a customer and it's just a bit, wow, like, how have you done that kind of thing? Like, when you see just how far back they've gone. I can't remember dates off the top of my head, but yeah, probably much as like what Jamie says, kind of 1500s. I'm sure plenty of people in the chat have got further back than that.
Yeah, well, it's hard to go further back, right? Because paper was invented at some point and available to the masses. Exactly. And that it gets a little difficult beyond that. I'm looking for Victoria's comment. So as soon as or her question, as soon as I find it, I will throw it up. And lots of other good stuff. Oh, and Patricia said, I won a book on Twitter, Findmypast giveaway. Yay, congratulations, Patricia. That's fantastic. So as a reminder, and Ellie already shared it in the comments, please do enter our daily giveaways during Community Week. They're exciting. We've got some really cool prizes. And we are also doing, for the first time ever, the Findmypast Community Award. Nominations are closed, but our judge has created a short list of 5 entries that we're going to select from, and you all will actually be able to vote on the final winner. So voting opens tomorrow morning at 10 a.m. BST. So watch our blog for that. Ellie's going to share the link as well, and then we will announce the winner of the Community Award on Friday's Live. So keep that in mind as well. So congratulations to everybody, and keep entering, because there's prizes every day, and they're different on Instagram and Twitter and all over the place. So watch all the channels. It's kind of cool. Okay. Oh, here's Victoria's question, I think. Are you guys ready for this? An actual question. How can we merge a person if created twice but don't want to lose records that might be in one and not another? So
since I pointed it out, I'll take the question. So it's actually not possible to merge, unfortunately. What you can do is get the records that you want to keep, and the only way you can really do it is manually move them over. When deleting a duplicate, though, you should always go into the Relationships tab first and remove them from your family tree. That removes any links to other members, so that when you press delete, nothing else will go with it. Sometimes if you don't do that and you press delete, anybody that's linked to that person might also vanish from your tree completely as well. So just another little thing to be mindful of. Usually if it's a big sort of change, I would export the tree first, just in case anything that I change messed it up, that I'd have a backup to fall back on.
Excellent, thank you. And Ellie, if we have a short video on merging people in the tree, will you share it? She's going to share something, it looks like. So people will have a reference to go back to, and you can, of course, always rewatch this session as well. Leslie, thank you for sharing this. We've started a 1921 project at our Family History Society, so everybody check that out. Everybody's really excited, of course, and it is census fever this year. Like, we can't help it. Debbie commented, we're waiting for the 1950 census in the US, which will be released just a couple of months after the 1921 census in the UK. So we will have, in the genealogy community, we will have access to census records for, all the way through 1950 in the English-speaking world, which is pretty exciting. Oh, Sarah, thinking about booking some time off work for the 1921 census release. I love that, Sarah. Me too, actually, which I'm sure my boss will say no. Good, so that's fun. Okay, I'm just going to scroll through and see if anybody is, if anybody's asked any other questions. Let me just check really quick. Sarah, just to answer your question, there is not actually a release date that's been published for the 21 census just yet. We know early of next year, and that's all we're able to say at this point. So as soon as we can kind of confirm that and pin that down, we'll share it. But at this point, early 2022 is the answer.
I don't think people understand that there's a law in place where we're not actually allowed to release this data until it's past 100 years.
Yep.
The only exception to the rule, I believe, was the 1939 register, but anybody who's still living in that is redacted for that reason.
Yeah. Okay. Let's see. Yeah, there's a lot of laws around the 1921 census release. And I think we all commented that we're anxious to see it as well. Most of the Findmypast staff haven't even seen actual images of the census because it's so protected for privacy concerns. So I think
we've seen a drop of what it might look like, but not the actual original documents or anything like that. That's all under lock and key.
Yeah. It's even some of our staff that's doing the scanning is like, we don't really know them very well because they're not allowed to have internet, so they don't join like our company calls and things. Yeah, it's quite fascinating. Okay, so I don't see any other direct questions, so I'll wait for more comments to come in. So out there, if you're listening, feel free to ask questions of Liam and Jamie, those burning questions you've always wanted to know about Findmypast. Now's your chance. We have at Findmypast this concept, of course, and this knowledge that family history is life-changing. There's a life-changing power behind family history and genealogy. There are many ways that genealogy can change your life. Have either of you experienced anything like that kind of firsthand through a customer or yourself? How has family history changed your perspective or your life?
Yeah, you mentioned about the newspaper article as well. So if anyone picked up the Press and Journal a few weeks ago, again, apologies for the reusing my content yet again. But I was on Findmypast in my family tree. I got a private message from another user. It transpired to be my grandfather's cousin, and she was living in Hawaii now, but was from New York. Was born in New York. And so what she had told me about my great-grandparents, my grandfather's parents, was that they had tried to go over to America with, like, her family had migrated from Ireland to America, and my great-grandfather tried to go over with them after, but he had failed the medical because he had an accident on a building site. So he'd failed this medical exam, didn't get the visa or whatever equivalent back then, and so wasn't allowed to move over. So then instead they moved to the UK, which is where my grandfather was born, my dad was born where I was born. So talk about life changing, I think that an accident on a building site was essentially the difference between me being born in the Bronx and me being born in the quiet northeast coast of Scotland. So that's two very different upbringings.
Unfortunately, I don't really have anything like that to follow up on, but I have written something down because I was speaking to my gran. That's another tip. Speak to your elders. They know more than we do. And apparently this is something that I'm going to have to look into myself. But apparently I was related to Hector Mcdonald, who was also known as Fighting Mac. He was a famous soldier who worked his way up the ranks. As I said, I'm still early in researching, so I don't know the exact relation yet. But he's said to be the model for Camp Coffee. So I don't know if you've seen Camp Coffee, but it's got a Scottish soldier wearing a kilt on the front of it, and that's meant to be him. And something sort of more recent times, my grand's cousin was actually John Laurie, who has been credited in over 150 appearances in film and TV, most known for Private Fraser on Dad's Army. So those are two things that I'm going to be looking into, but it's recent Recently, I've been told about it, so I can't stress enough how much you should speak to your relatives before you can't anymore. As morbid as that sounds.
Yep. It is a little morbid sounding, right? But it's true, right? I mean, humans pass away. That happens. Everybody dies at some point. So it is important to have those conversations. Very much so. A couple of questions have started to come in. So thanks everybody for putting these through. Sarah wants to know, where should I start my research to connect my Scottish prisoner of war who was sent to New England aboard the John and Sarah in 1651 back to Scotland? Any suggestions for Sarah? This is a great question for the three of us, actually.
So in the all record sets that Liam mentioned, you should be able to just type in prisoner of war, and I believe it'll show you all of the record sets that we currently hold that have prisoners of war within them. So that would probably be the starting point for me anyway.
Liam, any other suggestions?
Yeah, so just trying to read there, sorry, so New England. So we do have the travel migration records on site, so they might be worth a look as well for when they were transported. Not entirely sure of the circumstances there, so it might be worth a look in there as well, as Jamie says. They can be searched just through the general category or through the all record sets, might unlock some more additional search options that might help you, depending on how much you know about the guy, of course.
Yeah, that would be my suggestion as well. You need to really thoroughly research him in all the locations, because you have an actual vessel, the John and Sarah, and a time frame. You can find some of those records. Some of them are available on Findmypast, like the licenses to pass beyond the seas and early immigration from Britain, I believe is what it's called. If you just type in early in the all record sets page, you'll find those pretty easily. And of course, there's a lot of information in North America. Even though it was a POW situation, he still would have been heavily documented as a resident wherever he was. Just because every life mattered, right, for survival. So in the early colonies, they really needed every hand, no matter what their circumstance. So take a look at some of the North America record sets as well. We've got early American families and early American history, something like that. But again, just type in the word early in the all record sets and you'll find a couple of those. Those early settlers also are pretty well documented in family histories, publications, genealogy society journals, those kinds of things. Take all of those with a bit of a grain of salt. Almost all of them were published in the 1800s and early 1900s before the authors had access to the amount of extensive information that we have today. So a lot of them are misleading or just blatantly false. And a lot of people are working to prove those falsehoods today. So continue to look at journals because that's where usually those corrections are published. Good question, though. That's really good. Let's see. There was another one. Oh, this is a great comment. I'm old enough to have drunk camp coffee as a child, says Chris.
I'm not sure how old camp coffee is, to be honest.
I'm not sure either.
I think you can still get it now, though.
You Wikipedia it real quick. I want to know. And Victoria says, very cool. We all love kilts. So another really good comment. That's excellent.
Created in 1885.
1885. All right. See, he's already doing research. He doesn't even live right here on Facebook. That's awesome. Okay, so Lloyd left a comment. For me, I instantly had a recent heritage in the palaces in Russia, Poland, and Germany, Baltic nobles, etc., black cousins, the Russian oligarch, etc. The big thing was to see world events from so many different ways. My father's side comes from almost a different place for each person. That's kind of fascinating, actually. And I have a little bit of commonality in that, and that I have some of that German from Russia heritage as well. And it's a different part of the history of that region, but still fascinating research. Any suggestions, guys, for people who are looking kind of across Europe or other places in the world, perhaps the British Empire, for how they might use Findmypast or the British Newspaper Archive to advance their research and tell the stories of their ancestors?
Do you want me to go first then? think Liam might have frozen.
Liam might be
But
frozen.
I would think probably for any, if they were, did you say they were British? Yeah. Because if they're British specifically, we do have the British overseas record sets. We've got that for baptisms, marriages, and deaths and burials. So that's good for finding people sort of anywhere in the world, really, that we have record on. Not so sure about Russia, Poland, and Germany, though, unfortunately. I don't think we have many items that actually cover those countries at the moment.
Yeah, from a historical records perspective, I would agree. I don't think we do. But our newspaper collection would certainly cover international news just as much as a local newspaper. So I would actually recommend, Lloyd, that if you're looking to kind of fill in some of those stories, and I know this wasn't a question, but more of a comment, but if you're interested, try the newspaper collection on Findmypast or the British Newspaper Archive and see what you can stumble across. I've found some really great references to events happening kind of all over the world. You just never know what you're going to uncover in those newspapers. And I think Liam is back. Liam, are you ready again? Yeah. Okay, good. All right, Liam. Welcome back, Liam.
Sorry about that.
That's all right.
I wasn't dodging any hard questions there.
Okay, good. So another good question. If you could add a record set to Findmypast, what would it be for and why? Ooh, that's a good question.
Coming out of the big guns.
Would it be too much of a cop-out if I said Scottish dog licence registers?
Yeah, I think it is, yeah.
I'm trying to think.
It's hard.
What about you, Jen? Because you have done a lot more research than both myself and Liam combined.
I was the host, right? For me, actually, this is part of my job, right? Is to find records to put on the site. So I think about this every day. And obviously, I am biased towards North America because that's where my research largely sits and that's where my expertise largely sits. But I would like to see us add more records of British populations across the British Empire. So the early colonies, Canada, the communities in South Africa, across Asia, etc. And I say that because it would benefit the people descendant, like currently living in those locations and researching in those locations, but it would also benefit people of long British heritage who had ancestors who traveled to those places and had these experiences where you may not find that documented, anywhere else except for in some kind of official meeting minutes or government records or that kind of thing. So I would like to see a lot more about European countries and the British Empire. That would be my preference. Yeah. Expanding our view of what, how to research a British or an Irish or Scottish or Welsh family.
Speaking of expanding Scottish, somebody said any Scottish records. We are currently adding Scottish births, marriages, and deaths all the way up to, I think it's 2000 and something. But it is not a finished process at the moment. I'm sure somebody will be able to get you the link. Ellie, I don't know if you can do that. But yeah, we are adding births, marriages, and deaths for Scotland.
Yep.
Something that Miko's proud of, I think. He's been
and I know Miko's out there. I think he commented. I was going to share it. So congrats to Miko for creating and cultivating kind of a really, really cool Scottish BMD set. And I will just drop the hint that if you're looking for Scottish records, you should pay attention in the next week or two to our emails. Don't ignore those emails coming from Findmypast. It's going to be a cool month for Scotland. Okay. Oh, Beth says you can still get camp coffee for sure. And Sue, you can. My sister still drinks it. She's in her 70s. So we've got some really loyal fans of Camp Coffee here. We're going to have to do a whole segment on Camp Coffee. Never heard of it before. Yeah. Okay, let's see. Here's a good comment, and this isn't really a question, but more of a comment. Heather said, I have a common problem. My maiden name was Smith. Do you guys have suggestions for people with common surnames? What do you usually tell people?
I'm in much in such the same boat, unfortunately. When it comes to my research, my surname, in particular in the County Donegal, where my family's from, is the most popular surname by the looks of things. So it can just be really difficult to know, especially with Irish research. My family especially like to recycle names through the generations, so everyone's a Michael or a Neil. So it can just be really hard. It is really just finding out as much as you can about the people who you are looking for, so that you can use any sort of hint that might appear on the record to match it to your Smith, if that makes sense.
Yeah, unfortunately, that's part of the reason why I've not went back so far, because my mum's maiden name is also Smith.
Maybe you're related.
Maybe we are, yeah. But yeah, it's something that I'm sort of trying to get better at myself, just sort of noting down the little things that may not seem important. I'm just noting down everything just in case it's got that one thing that matches up with another record that I might have missed otherwise. Unfortunately, with family history, it's not easy.
Yeah, absolutely. My maiden name is Brown, so I definitely sit in this boat as well. It's the second most popular common name in North America. Yay! And it's it's tricky, right? I like the methodology of the one place study, and I turn it into a one surname study, basically. So, looking at everybody in a particular location in a particular time frame with the same surname, and research everybody and then it's just a process of elimination, right? And at some point you're going to recognize this line is not quite me, it's not who I'm looking for. I can eliminate them, at least for now, and focus on someone else or someone new. I have a colleague actually who also has Browns in his family, and he's been researching family. He researched this one Brown family in New England for like 5 years, and then finally figured out and realized, this isn't actually my line. But he has that 5 years worth of research still, and guess what? I'm related to them. So he had all this research that I just was like, thank you very much. This is very helpful. So you never know, right? When you'll be able to help someone out and benefit from all of that time and research. A couple of more suggestions from people on the records question. Sue asked for pre-1800 records in Ireland. Lloyd asked for Caribbean and South Africa, said those would be fabulous. I agree. Chris mentioned more modern street directories for the UK and would like to see international such as well. We know Miko is watching. We know he's lurking. We also know that myself and Ellie will take all these comments and feed them back to the team. And Ellie said she's making a list. So we're always open to suggestions, really. So if anybody has a record set they'd like to see or a general category of history you'd like us to work on, just send us a message. Let us know. We'll see what we can do. We're open to all those suggestions. Patricia wants Cumberland records, so that's good. That's a very specific suggestion. Thank you, Patricia. We'll look at that. Sean asked for burial records in particular and cemetery inscriptions, so that's really good. Claire's with me. I have never heard of Camp Coffee. We'll have to do a search. I think you should try Vegemite.
I think I'm okay, thanks.
I still remember my very first trip to Dundee, and I don't think either of you were in that those meetings, but someone in the customer support team, and it might have been Vicky, brought me Earn Brew for the first time, and I had to drink the entire can.
I actually had a can right here. I can show you, but I put it in the bin before we started.
One of my favorite things about working for this company is having moments like that. It's delightful. We're gonna have a little bit of an issue here because it's not Vegemite for Linda. It's UK Marmite. I almost said that wrong. I don't know what that is. All right.
It's a spread. I'm not sure what's in it, but it's a spread.
Gotcha.
Another one.
It's one of these, you'll either love it or you'll hate it kind of things, and there's a bit of a divide over who likes what.
Oh, and Roxanne, this is a very good point. Careful, the chat will now become how we're all related to Smith and Brown. Okay. Maybe we should do that, right? We should just all sit around one day with our whole community and compare notes on Smiths and Browns. Yeah. Okay. Let's see. Lots of common names comments. Yeah, this is good. Coal mining records would be great, more than just the accidents and deaths. Yeah, employment records are very cool, from all categories, actually. I know we've got railway employment records, for example. We've got some union records. Anything in that category that you guys have found particularly helpful, or have a fun story about someone with the employment category records?
It's not something I've used a great deal, to be honest. I did try it originally, but I can't seem to find any of my family in there, unfortunately. Like, I know a lot of my ancestors were like union men, but just can't seem to find them at all. So I'm not sure where they were hiding.
Yeah, I tried as well. My grandfather was a minister, so I was hoping to find something regarding him, but I think he sort of just missed the cutoff for the records. I think he was like early 1900s, and we stopped just before that, unfortunately.
That's a bummer.
Yeah, so something to keep in mind, definitely to look into.
Yeah, for sure. I did not try a deep fried Mars bar in Scotland, but we have those in the States. So yes, I've had deep fried candy bars before.
I've not even tried that.
And
so
I
you
will
never
do it again.
There is some chip shops in Scotland that will batter anything for you. They'll deep fry anything.
That's fabulous. All right. So maybe one last question. We've got about 15 minutes left. We'll see what comments we get. On your very first day with Findmypast, what's one thing you wish you had known about family history when you started?
Something you kind of alluded to there about your friend that was doing the research for 5 years and then realized it wasn't his. I think like trial and error was a big thing that I had to learn when doing family history, because I'm the kind of person that likes, I want to do something once and I want to do it right kind of thing. But I quickly realized that family history was not going to be that for me at all. I was going to make mistakes, and I was going to go down the wrong line, spending far too long in a family with no relation to me. So I think it is just part of that, just accepting that is going to happen. It can still be interesting, whether the records are interesting. You might pick up hints and tips from doing that research that are applicable to your own. But yeah, the trial and error aspect was something that I wish I'd been prepared for.
Yeah, ultimately, even if it is the wrong family, it makes you a better researcher, right? So all practice is good practice. Yeah. Jamie, what about you? What's one thing that you wish you'd known on day one?
How difficult it is. A lot of people think it's going to be you just put in the names that you know and everything will just come up, but it's really not the case. I didn't actually know too much about family history, to be honest, before I started, but since it's been just over 3 years now, I think I've got the basics down. But yeah, just to go back as well to what I mentioned before about you speaking to your elders, like I learned so much, not only from my gran, but my uncles and aunties, and it gives you that starting point. So you're not just like sitting looking at your tree and you just have yourself and your mum and dad. If you write it all down on a bit of paper first after speaking to them, you've actually got somewhere to go, and it's a little less daunting than, right, where do I go now? Obviously, we do try and help with that with the hints feature on the tree, but sometimes it can be a little daunting.
Yeah, it's that what you just commented on struck something with me. I guess one of my other comments would be that yes, you need to talk to your elders and the people in your family, but you need to talk to them more than once. And keep that conversation going, right? My dad it will be 81 later this week. Can't believe he's 81. And we continue to have conversations and we continue to go through photographs, and I hear new stories every time. And actually just yesterday, this is exciting, a cousin messaged me and said, hey, I found this old instrument in my dad's attic, and my uncle's passed away a couple years ago, so we don't know the story of it, but do you have any idea what this instrument could have been from, and whom, where it could have come from? And so we ended up in this massive conversation that went on for a couple of hours about the possibilities of where this instrument how it might have ended up in my uncle's attic. Came up with a couple interesting theories. So you just never know what's going to come out of attics and closets and basements and the attic of your own memory. So keep after those relatives. You just never know what's going to happen.
like you said, personal photographs are a very good one as well, because I'd say about half the time people write on the back the date it was taken or who they were with, so you can just get that extra snippet of information.
Yeah.
Specifically, I think 4 or 5 men lined up in a row, and somebody had written on the back left to right, and they had all their names there, so it was easy to match up who's who, because they all kind of looked a bit similar as well, to be honest.
Yeah, that's a great tip. My grandmother kept photo albums, and she used to type out what it was and the date and location and things on a little sticky note, and then she would stick it to the photograph and the photo album page. So it took me a long time to separate all that and, like, to preserve it, because the photo albums aren't good for preservation. So, but those little stickies are vitally important to my process.
Yeah.
So yeah, definitely. Leslie's got a good comment and something to think about for sure. You need to be careful when speaking to the older people in your family. I found it tends to make them feel quite sad, thinking of people in places that are no longer around. That's really true. And we started with the emotional power of family history, and Leslie, to your point, those emotions carry with us, whether we're the ones doing the research or we're the ones remembering the experience or the people that have gone by. So yeah, definitely have to be very sensitive to that. I find it's especially important with, like, veterans, for example. Survivors from difficult periods of history, different conflicts across the world. That's a very emotional thing to talk about, and they may not be ready for it. So yeah, definitely.
I'd agree, yeah. My granddad, he never spoke of the war at all, and I didn't press.
Right.
He had things from the war, like a couple of medals and shrapnel and things like that he'd kept, but apart from that, he didn't really want to talk about it, and you just got to respect them in these kind of situations, that they went through something that I personally can't even fathom what they went through.
Yeah, absolutely.
I also just like to note as well that you can't take everything they say as gospel.
Oh, yeah.
They are your family, but Chinese whispers, over 100 years, stories will change.
Absolutely.
So it's a starting point for your research. It's not just set in stone.
Absolutely. Let's see. People are putting in some great comments. These are such fun comments and stories. Yeah, this is another, when we talk about talking to our relatives, Beth makes a good point as well, that family get-togethers are really good for this. It can trigger memories, even though people maybe not be willing to sit down in like a one-to-one interview type experience, but use the holidays and the family get-togethers. And I actually just kind of set up my tablet or something and just hit record and just let the conversation flow. And I don't pay attention to anything except just letting them talk. I don't try to guide them in a particular way, but just capturing whatever stories they share. You never know what's gonna pop out.
Somebody else commented above a few posts saying that they asked asking your elder family the right questions is important. After several years of, you've got it on screen.
Yeah, there you go. Keep going.
After several years searching for a townland, my aunt told me what it was, and when I asked her why she didn't tell me earlier, she said, "You didn't ask."
Exactly.
But yeah, very good point.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, thanks, Sean, for that comment. That's a good one. And yeah, yep, absolutely. Okay, so then I think we've got lots of really good stories. Oh boy, here we go. This is a good one. Let's go back to the food. Jones, absolutely Vegemite. I live in Seattle. Shout out to Seattle. Born in New Zealand and still have a jar. I'm in my 80s and not good at sharing it. Good for you, Joan. Good for you.
You enjoy your Vegemite, Joan?
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Very good. So it's interesting conversation and interesting comments, everybody. This is really good. There's a lot here that I feel like I have to go back and read again because I know I've missed some. But there's so much to explore in family history. And I think, we've really kind of run the gamut today with you guys. But any last parting comments or words of wisdom from your years in customer support, or anything you'd like to tell the Find My Past community while you've got their ear?
I mean, I forgot to mention a record set, so we could go back to that quickly.
Let's go back to that.
We've got the Findmypast photo collection.
A good one.
It was actually my colleague Joanna who said that we should mention that, because we did offer up to the team if they wanted to have any input. And she said that we also have a Dundee edition of that as well, which is obviously a bit closer to home for me and Liam, because we can actually look at the different areas of Dundee as it's went over time.
And that's a good one. That's one that we continue to add to as well. So if you've searched it once, come back in 6 months and search it again, because it's a fabulous collection. The Dundee one I haven't looked at as much. I'll have to spend some time later looking at Dundee pictures. Liam, what about you? Any last thoughts?
I don't know. I think I've covered just about everything there. But yeah, like we said at the start, you know where we are. We aren't professionals by any stretch of the imagination, but if you do need a hand with anything, pointing in the right direction, finding where a record set is, particular feature or anything, then yeah, you know where we are. Feel free to give us a shout. We'll try our best.
I always like to say that one of my favorite things about having a customer support team based in Scotland is that when you call, you get to listen to the accents, which for those of us in North America is kind of a big deal sometimes. So yeah, so feel free to reach out to our support team. You can get them on the live chat on Findmypast. You can email, you can call, you can leave comments on social media. We'll redirect, although we highly encourage you to use the live chat or email. Those are really the best ways to get your question in, and the team will get back to you. They're fabulous. Okay, so let's see. What else am I supposed to talk about today? We've still got great prizes. Oh, Lloyd says it was great to have you two guys aboard today and love the accents. I'm not alone.
Thank you, Lloyd. You're welcome.
Yeah, so still some great prizes in Community Week to enter to win. So make sure everybody is watching for that. Again, voting on the Community Awards starts tomorrow at 10 a.m. British Standard Time, BST. So watch for that. Oh, there was mention of Liam and Jamie joining the Findmypast band. You probably don't know about that, but just FYI, you're now in the band because you've been on live with us. It's just kind of all right, so let's see. I think we hit everything. The community board. Yep. All right. So what's coming up next? Yeah.
You're all going to be so busy. Sorry.
Be nice when you call. They work really, really hard. Ellie has a very special guest tomorrow talking about how the Irish were perceived in the British Empire. So watch for that tomorrow afternoon UK time, morning US time, be 4 o'clock BST. And that looks like a really, really interesting, fascinating session. So if you have any kind of Irish family history, you'll definitely want to watch that, because that perception influences what records were made, how records were created, and why. So that's really, really important historical background. And then, of course, Friday's live will be back on Friday as always. And this week you get to have Alex on Friday, so that's always fun. So make sure that you're watching tomorrow and Friday. So it's a full week. Sarah wants to know just really quickly, how often do we do videos like this? Sarah, we typically are live on Wednesdays and Fridays, and then you'll see occasionally we'll have special guests or other sessions on other days of the week. But we always post our schedule on our Facebook page on Monday. So watch our Facebook page on Mondays to get the week's events. And then, of course, all of these videos are available for all time on our Facebook page and on YouTube, because they are recorded, and you can watch them whenever you want and watch back. All right, I think that's it. Thank you guys so much. This was a lot of fun, and I really enjoyed talking to you today. And I hope all of you out watching enjoyed it as well. We will see you back tomorrow for our session on Irish in the British Empire. Have a great afternoon, everybody.
Thanks, guys.
Thanks for having us.